Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and if I look tired, it's because after I went flying this morning, came back from the park, my little grandson showed up, 7-year-old Ryan, and we always spend as much time together as I can afford, which was all day until late afternoon now. And I always spend as much time as I can because just like all the other grandkids, he's gonna one of these days lose interest in Grandpa, and life will go on, and I'll miss him. So anyway, so I had a good day today, and so that's just the introduction. Wait till you hear the rest. Anyway, you know, I've only been wrong twice in my whole life, just twice. The first time was many years ago when I thought I was wrong and I was really right. But then recently, when it comes to the firmware fix and using gasoline, I might have spoke too soon. So what I'd like to do is take a look at the clip of this morning's video, and then I'll explain a little bit more. Well, this morning early I went to the park because I wanted to test out an ND filter at the time of day when the shadows are long and just fly around with the bright sun and see what kind of video I could capture. So here I am taking off, and my drone's been working fine for the last couple of flights with the gasoline lubricant, when all of a sudden I get the motor speed error warning. So I guess you could say I ran out of gas. So that was a little bit disappointing, and I thought to myself, well, I wonder if I can still fly around, because the warning only shows up on the screen of the monitor of the phone. It's not really going into the video, so I'll just go fly around, and I'll see how long I can fly, even with the error showing up. Or does DJI have something that's going to interfere with my plans? Can you finish a flight with that warning? And the only problem is you can't really see. If you look at what I was seeing this morning, you don't see the big picture of this video. You see the little, just a little bit of the corner down there, because the warning's in the way. So it made it kind of hard to see. So I just kept flying, and then after a while, I decided I would just kind of play around, and because I couldn't see out the front, I decided I would start flying a little bit sideways, and that way I would be able to see better, and so it would be good practice to fly diagonally. So I decided, okay, I'll see what I can do here. So on the way back, I'm going to fly sideways so I can look out the clear part of the screen, and it's good practice just to learn to fly diagonally like that. So I did some flying around for quite a while diagonally, and had pretty good got a lot of practice. So I spent much time flying around diagonally. And then, let's see, where would it be? About 15 minutes into the flight, or whatever it was, I decided, okay, I'm going to do a point of interest and fly around that sign after flying diagonally for quite a while. And so here I am flying around, doing the best I can to keep the sign in the center of the screen. And then I'm going to turn around and go the other way and fly diagonally. And here I go. And all of a sudden, my Mavic Mini decides to take a nosedive. And of course, when it hits the grass, the ND filter on the front of the gimbal got knocked sideways. And when it gets knocked sideways, it rattles around. So then the gimbal is having a hard time figuring out which way is up. And I know it's not good for the gimbal. And then I also got a little battery warning at the same time. So I decided, well, I'm just going to try to fly it back because I can kind of see what's going on here. And I'm going to get it back to me because it's going to want to do a return to home. And I don't want to have it doing this all the way up to 150 feet and then all the way down. So it took another nosedive, and that kind of helped the gimbal. I don't think it helped the gimbal, but it at least reset the. And here I'm controlling it to get it off the ground, but it reset the angle of the ND filter. So I'm coming up to meet it. It's coming down to meet me. I'm going up to meet it, and I finally just landed it. After it bounced once, I decided, let's just land this thing and take it home. So I took it home, and I did the reinstall of the firmware, and after I got that done, it flew fine. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It didn't fly fine, but then after I replaced the rear props, it worked great. So let's go back to the table and let me show you what happened. All right. I've learned a lot from this little guy right here. And one of the lessons that I have learned is don't speak too soon. Because when I went out this morning, it was like, it was all great. Everything was good. But the Mavic Mini only weighs 249 grams, and they give it some motors that are just enough to carry 249 grams, and not a whole lot more power. So I ran into issues this morning, and what I did was I went home then, and of course I reinstalled the firmware, and that didn't help. So then I decided, okay, I'll replace the rear propellers, okay? And the reason I did that is because one of the things that I discussed in a previous video is when this guy wants to take off and fly, and we go forward, the rear motors do all the pushing and the work, and these two motors just kind of control everything. I mean, they carry the front, but he's pushing from the back, and so these motors get a whole lot more wear and tear. And so I replaced the props, and everything seemed to work fine. Now I tested it out and it worked fine. Now, one of the things that I did in the you know what? I want you to watch another clip, and then we'll talk more about it. So let's take a look at one other clip. Well, here is where I took my grandson to the park and let him fly my Mavic Mini. And you can see Grandma and Grandpa standing down there, and Grandma took the picture. And what I had done is I put the prop guards on, and just in case he was going to run into something. And there was a little bit of a breeze. And between the prop guard and the breeze, the poor little Mavic Mini was straining. Now, you could just see my grandson ran over to get a drink of water, so I thought, you notice this is maximum power load. It's been saying that the whole time, but my grandson's been flying, and I haven't been looking at the screen. So I decided, well, I'll just fly it over here and have some fun. I start going forward, and all of a sudden, poor little Mavic Mini just runs out of gas. Just poops out. Because the prop guards and the wind or breeze did a job on it. All right, from that clip you could see that with the wind and the extra weight of the prop guards, the Mavic Mini just didn't have the energy to keep itself in the air. And when the motors finally get to the point where you've got too much work, it doesn't just stop. It's kind enough to come down and land, and so that's what happened in the first video. Is I was flying diagonally. Now, here's the interesting part, because I didn't even think about it until afterwards. when you're flying straight, you got two motors pushing the Mavic Mini. But when you're flying diagonally, one little guy back here doing all the work, most of the work, I'll put it that way. He's doing most of the work, and so he's just, you know, eventually he's going to get tired. And so the same thing happened this morning. It wasn't DJI pulling some stunt because I kept flying because I had the motor issue. It was me making this drone fly diagonally and overheating one of the motors. Now, with a heavier duty drone like a Mavic 2 or something, you could probably do this and it wouldn't make a big difference. But with this little guy, he's tender and gentle. Now, one other thing that that somebody else pointed this out to me, and then I got to looking inside the carrying case, and if you have the full package like this, and see it in the monitor there, okay. One of the things that they have you do, and it shows right there how to pack it. But what I've been doing, and of course I pay a little bit of attention, but I don't pay a whole lot, is I get those together like they should be, and then I put it in, and then I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the I put it in, and then I don't pay a whole lot of attention to how these are sitting. So they could be up like this or like that, you know, just any direction, okay? So what happens then when this guy here comes down on top of those guys there and holds them for the next week or two, okay? These props in the back, they're gonna get warped. And so that's one of the things that I'm gonna watch a little closer from now on. These guys are going to be tucked in across from each other, just like the front ones are, so that Mr. Big Guy here won't smash them when it comes closed, like that. So, and another thing, if you're going to change props, the little screwdriver that they send you, I didn't like it, and for one thing, you have to push down pretty hard on those screws, or it'll slip, you know. So, and then the little tiny screwdriver worked. I actually used it, but then I decided I'm going to go into my toolbox and find something that's a little bit bigger and a little more hefty to hang on to, and then I can get those screws out and put them in. And be sure and put the new screws in, because they're the ones that have the Loctite on them, and you won't have any difficulty. Well, like I said to somebody, I don't know if I said it in this video, but I've never learned so much from one drone in my life as I did from this one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fly this thing until I get another motor error. Then I'm going to try WD-40. But in the meantime, I'm buying new props, and you know what though? I decided that I don't want you to laugh at me now. I don't want you to laugh, okay? I decided that I would go ahead and order their new Mavic Air 2, because I can't afford to keep buying props for this thing. I want to thank you for watching, and God bless.